In the previous session, we have understood what is data analysis. Now it is time to understand what is data and what are the different roles needed in the data and why these roles are needed. The very first thing is the data doesn't comes from a single source. Whenever we consider any business, the business runs in a different areas, and from there we do data gets generated at different places, and this data does comes to the system from various places. So that is one thing we need to understand. When we have a huge organization or huge projects, we need to understand that there are multiple departments are involved, multiple data sources are involved, and there are different processes involved, and we need to understand that these are the different processes that generates different data that we need to understand. That's why we need to have different roles, because it's not just a data analyst, or it's not just a business analyst, but what are other different roles are needed when we deal with the data. So that we are going to see now. The very first thing says the business analyst. Second one is a data analyst, then data engineer, then we do have data scientist and database administrators. So these are the different roles which are associated, and whenever it comes to any organization or any business, we need to understand that these are the different roles involved in any of these businesses, and each role has different roles and responsibility that we are going to see it one by one now. Very first thing is business analyst. What is a business analyst? So analyst will understand or will decide what to do with the data. Means whenever the data gets generated, they are the first point of contact with the business or the business users. They work closely with the business, and they interact with the business users, end users, or the business stakeholders who are there. Try to understand the requirements. So this is the first starting point for any of the business, where the business analyst is the person who can try to understand what is the business and how we can, what are the things which we can do with the data. They will try to interpret the data that comes from the visualizations as well. Means so whenever it comes to creating visualizations like graphical charts and other things, they can interpret that data. And data analyst and a business analyst can be a same person. So this can be possible that in a business it may not be possible to have a different person for as a business analyst and data analyst. So it can be possible that only one person can perform both the roles, like business analyst and data analysis. So what does a data analyst do? So data analyst is more to the technical side. That means they will try to maximize the value of their data assets through visualizations and reporting tools. Now when it comes to business analysts are more work closely with the business, try to understand the business. However, this data analyst will be more technical. They will interact with the business analyst, try to understand the business from their technical perspective, and try to make the visualizations or charts so that it will be helpful for the business to gain some growth in the business. And it involves profiling of the data, cleaning and transforming of the data. So this is more technical things which are needed when it comes to data analyst. They can build and design scalable and effective data models. So there are different visualizations tools which they can utilize, and then try to make the most of that tools by taking the data, cleaning the data, performing some operations on that data, and then they can create some analytical visualizations which will help business to gain some insights and valuable information out of that raw data. That is something which is a data analyst do. What does data engineer do? So data engineer more related to be more technical, more at the data level, which will help us to provision and set up the data platform technologies that are on premises and in the cloud. So this is more related to the data processing, we can say, where they can manage and secure the flow of structured and unstructured data from multiple sources. They can ensure the data services securely and seamlessly integrate. So basically they can basically the integration of the data sources, that is important to understand. So different data sources, from the data source, from where the data is coming, where it is getting stored, and how different systems can integrate with each other. That is they are basically trying to do as a data engineer. And on premises and cloud data services, where you do have some tools which will consume and deliver and transform data from multiple sources. So that is something which is they can do. They also collaborate with the business stakeholders to identify and meet the data requirements. So who are the data scientists? So data scientists are somewhat very advanced people, or technically very advanced people who actually performs advanced analytics to extract value from the data. They works from descriptive to predictive analysis, means whatever the forecasting which we needed, like that can be done with the help of these predictive analytics, where descriptive analytics is something which is a they evaluate the data through the process known as EDA, exploratory data analysis. So this is something which is a very important topic. And then second one is the predictive analytics, where it can be used to used in machine learning to apply modeling techniques that can detect anomalies or patterns. And a data scientist and data analyst can work together as well, because data scientist looks at the data to determine the questions that need answers, and will devise hypothesis or an experiment, and then can turn to data analyst to assist with the data visualization and reporting. That means data scientists work more on the quantitative data or qualitative data, and they can perform the operations. But when it comes to creating visualization, they can go back to data analyst, and the data analyst can build some visualization or charts or reports out of that data, and it will help to get some valuable insights to the business. The last role is the database administrator. So database administrator are the persons who manages or implements the operational aspects of the cloud native and hybrid data platform solutions that are built on Microsoft Azure's data services or Microsoft SQL Server. So most of the database administrative work can be done by these database administrator people who handles overall availability and consistent performance and optimization of the database solutions. They just try to make sure that servers are up and running every time. If there are any issues in the servers, they fix it and resolve the issues on time. They can actually work with the different stakeholders to identify and implement the policies, processes for data backup and recovery plans. So, data backup, wherever the data is there, there should be some policy, or there should be some plan to back up the data. So that is something which is done by DBS, is to make sure that business data is secured and safe. They can manage and monitor the overall health of the database and hardware that it resides on. They're also responsible for managing the overall security of the data. That means restricting the user access, who should have access to the data, who should not have access to the data. That kind of things the database administrator performs, because not all the data should be visible to everyone. So that is something which is decided by the business. As per the business policies, this DBS can do some rules or constraints on the user access, so that the data will be seen to the specific people only. So these are the different roles which are there. As a data is important or critical, that's why we need all these roles. I hope you have understood this, and I will see you next session.